Everyone is a star child, made of stardust and the infinite potential of the universe. This extraordinary fearless something in each of us clamors for freedom from the bonds of fear, conformity, and an ordinary life. Welcome to Dr. Durr's Living in the Sweet Spot, where practical tools and solutions from the intersection of mind-body medicine, science, and spiritual well-being awaken and empower you to live out your infinite potential, to live life in the sweet spot. According to the National Science Foundation, 95% of our thoughts are repetitive and 80% of our thoughts are negative. So what does that say to me? That says that we have so many negative, repetitive thoughts that we need to potty train our minds. So joining me today to have that conversation is Dr. Stacy, talking about how you speak to yourself, the power of inner dialogue. Welcome, Dr. Stacy.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and talk about this topic, especially after the statistics that you just gave us.
Yeah, it's really quite astonishing, because if you think about it, how are we going to have happy, fulfilled, successful lives with all of what I call the squirrel madness going on, and the negativity, and it's like, what I say to folks, it's like, if you pee on yourself, do you expect yourself not to stink?
Okay.
Right.
All right, Dr. Durr. We on TV. I want to keep it cool here. Yeah, but how do you come to those expectations when there's a cause and effect? Use your words. If you pee on yourself, urine smells. So where do you think that smell's going to go?
Yeah. Again, keeping it real. If you pee on yourself, you're going to stink. And so to me, with that kind of negativity that especially the amount of it, then our lives are going to stink. Right. So we're going to get into, why that is and how that works. And of course, we're also going to talk about some things that we can do differently in order to turn that around. But for my guest who, may not have the pleasure and the joy of, connecting with you before, let me share a little something about you with them. So Dr. Stacey Bulluck is the owner and founder of Power in Resilience Life Coaching Agency. Dr. Bullock provides workforce development training and individual life skills training through the coaching agency. She is the president and CEO of Ordered Steps Incorporated, a nonprofit serving homeless women and formerly incarcerated women veterans, a best-selling author of 2 spiritual self-help books, and she's written a total of 5 books. She's also a transformational speaker, certified John Maxwell leadership coach, a civil servant, an ordained evangelist, and now host of Tools for Everyday Living. Dr. Bullock has received several awards for her impact in the community serving homeless women. And in December 2023, she received an honorary doctorate in business philosophy. Finally, Dr. Bullock is an Army veteran, having served 18 years. So again, welcome to the program, Dr. Stacey Bulluck, Dr. Stacy.
Thank you so much. When I hear that read, sometimes I think, who are they talking about? Because I know
the divine feminine expression of the infinite potential of the universe, also for some of us called the creator. Mm-hmm. That's what they are talking about.
Yes, and it took some time to get here. So we don't want people to think that the discussion that we get ready to have happened overnight. No, it didn't. So give yourself some grace and it'll be all right.
Amen. Which I think is one of the things we're gonna get into about one of the things we need to do differently
Mm-hmm.
as part of the, as I like to call it again, as part of the process of potty training your mind.
I like that. We're gonna have to put some. Well, we get ready to. We're gonna put some 1, 2, 3s to potty training your mind.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So really, what's the significance of the inner dialogue that we have and its impact upon, therefore, my beliefs and my thinking and our feelings, and more importantly, then the actions we take, which creates our results and our experiences. So what's the significance of the inner dialogue?
Well, the inner dialogue for people who need it in a little bit more layman's terms. Self-talk, talking to yourself. One of the best conversations you can have, though. When we do that, words frame things, they put things into parameters. Now, when we put words that are not beneficial to us into parameters like our life, telling us how far we can go or what we can do or what we can't do, it plays a significant role in how we respond or react to life situations. So it's necessary for us to potty train our mind. And hopefully, once we start the potty train, because potty training starts at a young age. So as we grow, we should, and not necessarily grow in stature or get older or mature in age. We should mature in mind. That's the place we start maturing at. And that's when our actions start to become different and our outcomes in life become different.
Yeah, so actually mature both in mind and emotions, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
there's a whole lot of folks walking around in an adult body with the minds and the emotions of a child, doing adult things, causing
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of chaos and disruption and dysfunction.
Shenanigans.
Squirrel madness.
Yeah.
so
Yes.
so and they have not, or should say, and because I think we're all do it at times,
Mm-hmm.
and just like, I don't feel like going to the toilet. I'm just gonna go in my pamper, or I'm gonna go in my big girl and my big boy underwear.
Okay. The decisions we make.
Yes. Yeah.
We have to I for one want my decisions to be beneficial. Now if you want to go in your big girl, big boy uh draws, then think about the money you get ready to spend to buy more on a more consistent basis.
Mhm.
Because they do exist and they exist for a reason, but they don't exist for the reason for us making a conscious choice to go. They exist for the reason of, you know, life changes that we have no control over sometimes. But when we do have control, then that's when we need to make sure that the things we can control that we do, that we don't allow these shenanigans to come in, the thoughts. The thoughts that we have in our mind are a map that represent where we're going.
Mhm.
And now we have to say, wait a minute, which way I want to go, and stick to the way you want to go. Don't divert for whatever the reason. Laziness, because that would be something that I would feel that a person would be doing if you make the conscious choice to go to the bathroom on yourself.
Yeah,
Just
so
not
I
a
think
big
one of
deal.
the things too that it's important for folks to maybe know or understand is obviously how we see ourselves, how we think about ourselves, and our possibilities
Mm.
and the world around us. Those thought patterns, or I call them, the blueprint
Mhm.
that's given to us, as children. And children, have our brain waves are, when you're seven, up until the time you're like 7 years old, or at a level they call theta, which means that's actually the equivalent to hypnosis. That's why
Mm.
children are so suggestible in terms of, and why they say, train them up how you want them to go. But also, if you show me the child, that's seven, and I'll show you the man. It's because that we're giving our children blueprints, what
Mhm.
to think,
Mhm.
what to believe, um, their identities and their possibilities.
Right.
But in addition to that, but then you're also getting what I think translates to then how I feel. That energy of, because thought is an energy.
Mhm.
It's an energy form. It's an energy that takes form. The thought we have that
Mhm.
then becomes an emotion, and that emotion again is another form. So both how what we think and how I feel then becomes drives, frankly, what we do, right? So
Absolutely.
so the thing is, then then what are some of the patterns, or that we get, that then go into determining, our self-esteem,
Mhm.
and even our mental well-being, right? Our mental
Mhm.
states. What are some of the patterns or themes that we get that affect self-esteem or and mental well-being?
Whew. That's a heavy one. And because you talked about, our childhood, of course, a lot of people say, "Oh, my childhood don't have anything to do with nothing that I'm doing." I beg to differ. So, if you're told over and over again, "Oh, you ain't gonna be nothing. You're not gonna get anything right. You keep going down this road." You know what I mean. The negativity
Mhm.
that is spoken, and as I said before, words frame. You know that lie that was told over and over again. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but
Mhm.
words will never hurt me. That's a lie. Those words will formulate a thought of who we are in our mind. And if we're told over and over again that you will not become anything significant in life, or the famous old adage of "stop crying before I give you something to cry for." Well, you just told that person to stifle every bit of emotion that they wanted to express at that moment. And crying was the way they were expressing it. But then when they become adults and you tell them, "Oh, you're not supposed to cry,"
Mhm.
you're supposed to suppress your feelings. Now you wondering why they got all these suppressed feelings in it, and they acting out, even as adults. Selfishness is huge. Low self-esteem, the always looking to have somebody else validate you, not believing in who you are because I was told that I'm not going to be anything, so I don't think I am going to be anything, or I'm living in this environment for all of my life. So that must mean this is where I'm supposed to be. And the environment may not be the best place. If you got bullets flying past your windows, that's good enough reason for you to say consciously, "I do not need to be in this environment, and what can I do to change my thought patterns to get out of here?" It's not what can you do on the outside to change, to get out of situations and circumstances. What can you do on the inside to change your thought, your situation? Because that's where it takes place at. As you mentioned before, talking about how our emotions are going to eventually dictate our behavior if we don't become emotionally stable. And I have a girlfriend, I'm gonna stop after this. I have a girlfriend, she said something oh my gosh, it had to be about 15 years ago. She said, "There's so many emotionally unstable people walking around." hmm When she said that, I said, "Ooh, I'm going to use that." You see, I said 15 years ago, that thing stuck with me because it's so true. It's the emotions that are driving people to do or not do.
Say, "Ooh, you teaching today, Dr. Stacy." Let the church say amen. So, I think though, in also again within that realm is that I think it's important for people to understand though that it's what you think and believe that then cause your feelings and emotions, and because we all have our own BS, i.e.
hmm
belief system, and that belief system then again connects to certain feelings and emotions. And
hmm
it's so specifically what do I mean by that? Specifically, what I mean by that is if somebody brought me a new car, I was like, "Woo!" Right,
Yeah, I worked up.
right. So then I'm all happy and excited and joyful. But where does that come from? That comes from the thought that I have that this is valuable to me, that this is a wonderful surprise. I really appreciate the fact that you did this for me. This is
Mm-hmm.
a great gift, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody gives me a beater, yeah, at this point in my life, probably not so much. Am I going to find that value? You know,
Right.
but however, someone who has no transportation, maybe they need a way to get to work, or they need to way to, go get groceries or take their kids wherever they need to go. You know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe for them, just having any kind of transportation that's reliable, they're
Mm-hmm.
going to find that valuable. So that's what I mean when I'm saying what we think and what we believe is then driving
Right.
emotions,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Based upon what we value, what our standards are,
Right.
that drives emotion, and the emotion drives, behavior. So,
Exactly.
so you know what? How about if we do this? Let's let's go ahead and take a break, and then when we come back, we're going to pick up with the question that you posed again is what do I need to do to go inward, to explore and know what it is I'm thinking, so that again that I can change the outward experiences that I'm having if they're unwanted.
Yes.
All right, so we'll be right back. Heaven Abounds in You takes you on an inward journey of discovery that dramatically transforms your outward experience of life. Discover the power of belief. Utilize it in connection with science to create a vision of meaning and purpose that pulls you forward. Let go of the meager me to discover the magnificent me. Let go of your painful past and live life free from fear, worry, and stagnation. Experience an abundant universe as you powerfully create happiness, relationships, health, and limitless opportunities. When you heal your mind, all things are possible. I'm Dr. Balin A. Durr, and today we are talking about how you speak to yourself, the power of inner dialogue. And before the break, I was discussing with my guest, Dr. Stacey Bulluck, that question of how do we go inward? How do we connect with ourselves? So, how do we do that?
Mm. I'm gonna start a little bit backwards on that last statement you said. How do we do that? First, we have to tell ourselves the truth. Number one, first and
Hey, come
foremost,
on, guys. Come on. Come on.
you
I hear you teach. Like I said, you teaching today.
you cannot be, and I'm talking about myself, future, past self. You cannot be a mean girl and tell yourself that you're nice to people when you're not. And that way, you have to look at yourself through almost a different lens, a lens of sometimes of correction, a lens of love, to see the things that may be stopping you from getting to where you want to go. I'm sure I will put it this way. I hope you have dreams and aspirations, things that you want to accomplish in life, but we could possibly be holding ourselves back. I posted one time and said, we have a gift in us, but sometimes we have to go in and pull. Sometimes we have to go in and pull real hard, because the reason why we're pulling real hard is because we got to pull through the stuff that has been pushed down on the inside of us. We could have been the one who pushed something down on the inside of us, giving ourselves the thought pattern that I don't have enough money, I don't have enough education, I can't do it because of whatever the reason. So you're going to have to go in and pull through some stuff and break some stuff out, change some thought patterns, change some beliefs about who you are. Remember that old saying back in the day, Dr. Durr, when they said you are what you eat? Well, you are what you think. And I have a friend who said,
So hold on, Dr. Stacy, a couple things, maybe three things. One, not only do we need to absolutely tell ourselves the truth, we need to tell ourselves the truth about who we are and what we want.
mm-hmm.
And number two, we also need to say, again, what are my values and standards?
Mm-hmm.
But three, not only can I not be mean girl or mean guy,
Mm-hmm.
but also I need not to behave that way towards myself. And I know, and I've had a lot of conversations with people where I have asked them the question, would you have a friend who treated you the way you treat you?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is no, absolutely not. So then I'm going, well, if you wouldn't have a friend who treated you the way you treat you, then why are you making it okay for somebody else to treat you that way? If you want love, kindness, compassion from other people, then you shouldn't make it okay for you to mistreat yourself. You should be willing to give yourself love, kindness, and compassion to yourself. Again, what does that translate to? Don't expect people in the world to treat you better than you treat you.
Amen. Amen. For real. And when you said that, this young lady popped in my mind, and she put this in an email. She missed something in the email. Not a big deal. As one of my directors says, nobody died. So she came back, and the responses were giving all of these excuses. I'm sorry. I missed this. I failed here. And I thought to myself, why are you talking about yourself that way?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You did not fail. Nothing. What we asked you to do happened because you did what you were supposed to do. Now, maybe you didn't go, a little past the mark of the job and not letting us know that it was completed. Okay, but it was completed. So don't call yourself a failure. I thought to myself, wow, I need to give her a phone call and say, do not do that again.
So, the thing that I say when people say that is about I'm a failure, I tell no, failure is a result. It is never a person.
Yes. That is so good.
And on top of it, every time you take an action, you create what? A
A
result.
result. Right.
So guess what? We are always successful. Always.
Always.
And really, what you're talking about when we say success and failure,
Mm-hmm.
we are talking about separation, which is where the fall occurs, right? And our belief that we
Mm-hmm.
are separate, that we are not connected, that
Mm-hmm.
compartmentalizing things
Mm-hmm.
ourselves, that we think that we're disconnected from all there is in the universe when everything at its essence, at its core is energy. So it's all connected.
Mm-hmm.
But so when if I say that, really what I'm saying is success is wanted results and failure is unwanted results. But if you take that judgment off of the label, take that label off, take that judgment off,
Mm-hmm.
and just their results, some are unwanted, some are wanted. But if you realize you're always creating results, then again, you realize that you are always successful.
Yes.
And the problem is, as I like to say, some of us we're just awfully successful at creating a lot of ish we don't want.
We don't want. And that is so true.
Right. But that
Yeah.
comes from what we think and believe about
Right.
ourselves and our possibilities and others.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so the other thing too that you kind of intimated, and I just wanted to say it directly, the other way, if you want to become aware of what your limited beliefs are about you and your possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
and how you keep peeing on yourself mentally,
Mm-hmm.
then what you have to do is to say, is in terms of empowering yourself to say, I'm responsible for me. And if I have the ability to do this, I have the ability to do something, to do it differently in order to feel better about me. Right.
Right.
Basically, in terms of recognizing your own power, and that power actually comes from your ability to choose what you
Yes.
think, how you feel, what you do. So don't wait on me to be nice to you. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't wait
Right.
on me to be nice to you, because I can be nice to you. I can say, you know what, Dr. Stacy, you looking fabulous over there, divine feminine energy goddess. And you go like, no, I don't. I look terrible. I don't like this. I don't like this blouse, or I don't like this color, or I don't like my hair, or I don't like my thighs, or I don't, whatever it is about you that you saying that you don't like, even
Right.
though I'm pouring affirmations on you, if it's you that's kind of going, no, that's not true, and you're saying something negative,
Mm-hmm.
it still comes down to what you believe about you.
Exactly. And
So,
go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And when we believe that we are able to accomplish whatever it is that we have, on the agenda for that day, not necessarily putting out there these big, giant, lofty goals. Let's start small. If we're still growing in the small, in the small stages and toddler stage, we've gotten past infant stage. Now we're not um, unconsciously going to the bathroom in our Pampers anymore. We making decisions and saying, "Oh, there's a restroom. I need to get there." So when we say, "I'm going to grow," that's the key right there. We have to decide to grow. We have to decide that, all right, those old ways are not working for me. I see my peer group moving forward. Not to say we're trying to keep up with people, but no, that's not the case. But we do see people growing. That's what I was going to say earlier when you were talking about people's thoughts and patterns and their experiences. Some people's experiences are skewed for different reasons. And those are the people that I feel like, well, I can't say that they need probably more nudging than others, because The one with the silver spoon in their mouth really need the nudging, I think, most of the times.
But I think, and to your point, I think what you're saying is, of course, is that we can live in environments where things are so skewed to one direction or other that, and we only see things in a certain way. So
Mm-hmm.
one, it may not be accurate or true, or two, it may only be a portion of what's of as I like to say, circle is 360 degrees. So we may only see 15, 30, 60, 90 degrees of it. And then there's all the rest of this the circle that's remaining that we don't see. And it's not because
Mm-hmm.
it's not there, it's just that we don't see it. And therefore we may not value it and or be able to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're absolutely on point about the fact about how we skew things. And
Mm-hmm.
um, so yeah, so go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead and what you were saying about that. I just thought it was a great point.
No problem. So when say people are reared in what is considered to be low income, that doesn't mean they have to stay in low income. But there are some cultures that I learned when I lived in Egypt that if they're born into poverty, that's where they believe they should stay. And some don't strive, don't strive to get out of that environment because they believe that's, what they were born into and that's what they're supposed to have. And that's where, again, the thoughts now looking at culture, morality, different things keep people from growing. That's the only way I can think of it. Keep people from growing mentally.
Hmm.
Of course, we're going to grow physically, but mentally, emotionally, are we going to grow? And that is, something that I want people to make sure that they're aware of. That it is necessary and possible for us to grow mentally into changing our thoughts that yes, when you say goddess, it resonated with me because my mind has been transformed and now I know that yeah, I know who I am. Not to say I'm better than anybody else. No, I just know who Stacy is now. Before Stacy had no clue. And we talking up to 40s. No clue. Just going, with the wind, basically. Like, and the wind sometimes wasn't blowing in the right direction. But I would find myself in places that I definitely am thankful that I'm not in anymore. But I had to make a choice.
Yes. So that again brings us back to what we're saying, is that you have to recognize your ability, your power comes from the ability to choose. That
Mm-hmm.
is that, that although the National Science Foundation is saying that 95% of our thoughts are repetitive, 80% of the negative, you don't continue to have to operate on what I call autopilot,
Mm-hmm.
because you can be on autopilot literally in a plane, but if you approaching a mountain, you better disengage that sucker unless you want to crash and burn. So it, that's the importance of not just doing, in terms of not always thinking what you've always thought,
Mm-hmm.
feeling what you've always felt, and therefore doing what you've always done.
Mm-hmm.
Another way I like to say that is we used to wear diapers, but we don't wear diapers no more, right? you know,
No, we do not.
huh?
I said, no, we do not.
Right? Because it's not appropriate for us to wear diapers at this as adults. So those things that served us at one time at a different age and stage in our lives no longer serve us, and therefore and are indicative of what I would call us being underdeveloped.
Mm.
So if we, again, as you're talking about, want to mature and grow as we were designed to, everything in the universe is designed to grow and to transform and to be
Mm-hmm.
something other than what it was. It never nothing stays the same. It's in a constant state of flux. So if that's the case, then you have to be willing to say where I am is not where I have to stay, and it may no
Mm-hmm.
longer serve me to stay here.
Exactly. And I think sometimes it's difficult for people to pay attention when things aren't serving them anymore.
So, why do you think that is, Dr. Stacy? I want to hear what the goddess Dr. Stacy said. You
You
know,
know,
it put like this, both personally and also my work with other people. You're absolutely right. Sometimes we get stuck, and I have my thoughts about it, but I certainly want to hear yours.
being stuck is a horrible place. It is a horrible place. I lived in it for way too long. But I can't. Let me not say it that way, because if I hadn't done with the way I did it, I wouldn't be sitting here right now, probably. But I want to advise people, because I always tell people, don't reinvent the wheel. So if you're stuck, you don't have to stay there. You don't have to keep spinning on it, constantly, because there are people like myself and Dr. Durr to come on and say, hey, let me show you some ways for you not to do this. And then we have to listen. And
So,
then we have to,
so we got to stay back there in the Stone Age where we're grunting and wearing claws and animal skins and
nah,
caves, living in caves. We don't have to stay there.
we do not.
Okay.
I mean, I'm so glad you said something about a cave. It prompted me, and I wondered how this would play a role in whenever I spoke to somebody. So when I left out the house this morning, there was a house. There was a foundation for a house, couple blocks, not blocks, 50 yards down. I came back this afternoon. There's a house framed in.
Wow.
Yes, and I thought to myself, hmm. So they can get to the place where, and I thought about it as a human being a physical house that we walk around in every day. Sometimes we might get stripped down to the foundation. And I might be getting away from the question a little bit. Bring me back if I do. But I want to say this. We can get stripped down to the foundation, but we can be rebuilt. Sturdy, stronger. They say wiser, stronger. I know that's my story, because I stayed stuck too long and I was stripped down to the foundation. Thankfully, I had one.
Mm.
And so when they began to rebuild, when they began to actually put this brand new house up, and everything is new, every stud, every piece of wood is brand new. That can happen for everybody listening to us. If you strip down to your foundation right now, it's okay. You can be rebuilt. But guess what else I saw? I saw like 15 men over there working. That
Mm.
told me that it was going to take some time. It's going to take some people with different skill levels.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have to be vulnerable enough to, when we coming out of being stuck, we're going to have to be vulnerable enough to allow people into our lives that are safe. Because see, when they get finished building that house, it's going to have to go through a safety inspection.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have, so because that was the one of the thoughts that I had when I watched the men walk around, because I saw some just walking looking, I saw some actually doing work, but the ones that were walking looking and inspecting were making sure that it was being put together the right way.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta find some people in our lives that's gonna help us get unstuck, like Dr. Stacy and Dr. Durr, to bring you forward and become this beautiful now house that somebody is going to have the benefit of living in and having everything brand new. Nothing was ever touched, nothing was ever tainted, nothing was ever, there was no scorch marks on the stove. Everything is brand new. To get a fresh start. So when you decide that you no longer want to be stuck, then everything's going to be fresh and brand new. Don't look back. Don't even worry about that stuff. They wiped that. They went over there and excavated the land, which means they cleared it out. So if stuff get cleared out, it's okay. Just know that you get ready to become unstuck. Mm-hmm.
So that's, you know what, that's an awesome example of, you know, one of the primary tenets of, I think, acceptance and non-attachment. And what I mean by that is, if you've beaten up on yourself for some things that have happened in your past, you don't reside here in the present moment. You actually reside in that past moment, wherever that was, whatever year that was, whatever day and time that was, that's where you exist, is there. And if you exist in the past, that means you're not fully present and cannot make or take advantage of what is present in this moment. And you can't move yourself forward. And again, if you beating up on yourself for, missteps and things that you've done, then what you've done is condemned yourself. And there's a difference between conviction and condemnation. Conviction is I did something wrong. Condemnation is that it's wrong forever. I'm wrong forever. And there is no forgiveness. There is no grace. There's no redemption. So you busy flogging the hell out of yourself, or as I like to tell people, come on down off the cross. Jesus don't need no help up there.
No, indeed.
Right?
No, indeed.
But the point of forgiveness and grace is to acknowledge that we, did what we did or experienced what we experienced, to forgive, which means I can't undo what has already been done. It's just not possible. But what, to me, in terms of responsibility, is also about what can I do today in this moment with what I have in order to do it differently, in order to move myself forward.
Right. Can I say something to that? So all we have is now. That's it. We only have now.
Yes.
The moment that we have next week hasn't made it here yet.
Correct.
So let us live in our sweet spot now. And that just came to me, like the moments that we have in whatever situation it is. Say you're going back to school, you're ready to get a degree. Well, in that moment, because it's going to take time to get that degree, make sure you keep your mindset in a sweet spot, in a place of I'm grateful, I'm thankful, I'm able to get this accomplished. And before you know it, 2 years, 4 years, 1 year, it'll be gone, be over. And then you can move on to the next phase.
All right. So that is, you and I are fully aligned with each other. I'm, very much agree with what you're saying. And, it's just a matter of choosing to believe what Dr. Stacy is saying. So with that, let's take a brief break. And then we come back again, and we're going to get into what specific things that a person does not know how to change their inner dialogue so that they can change their life. What are some specific things that they can do to change that inner dialogue? And we'll be right back. Dr. Balin A. Durr here with my guest, Dr. Stacey Bulluck, and we are talking about how you speak to yourself, the power of inner dialogue. And before the break, we were saying we're going to get into specifically what are some things that we can do in order to change our inner dialogue when you don't know how to start. And what I say to myself is the seed and the root, and my relationships, my money, my profession is the fruit of the root of my thoughts.
Mhm.
So, how do we begin to change some specific things that we need to do to change the root of my inner dialogue so that I can change the fruit of the expression?
Yes, I love that. That is awesome. So
Thank you.
I think that some of the things, like you said, the dialogue is the conversation that you are having with you. You know, when I have conversations with myself all the time, especially the times that I don't want to do something,
Mm-hmm.
I get really kicked in. My conversation really kicks in. It's like, Stacey, you know you're supposed to be doing this. Why aren't you doing this? Specifically, getting up and exercising early in the morning and getting it kind of sort of out of the way because I have to exercise. I don't have an option. That's the way I think about it. And see, that right there is a way to change your thought pattern. I told myself, you do not have an option but to exercise. Some people want to give themselves options. Well, if I don't exercise, then it's not, there's some things that I will miss the benefit of exercising from.
Mm-hmm.
And that's happy endorphins. That's, the what would they be called, Dr. Dirk? Not minerals that float around in our bodies, but what is an endorphin? I know what it does, but what is it called?
So, endorphins are actually the body's natural opiate.
See.
It's the body's natural painkiller.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
yeah, so you're right. The exercise is creating the endorphins to help you feel better. It's
Right.
also increasing the natural production of your brain neurotransmitters, or those
Yes.
chemicals that help you feel better.
Yes.
Serotonin,
Yes. That's
norepinephrine,
the word I was looking for.
dopamine. Yeah, the neurotransmitters, those brain
Right.
chemicals.
Right.
And dopamine is also a part of the chemical that helps us feel pleasure, that helps
Mm-hmm.
us to be motivated. The,
Mm-hmm.
so it helps increase the production of that. That also increases blood flow. And what is blood flow? Blood flow is helping to bring the nutrients and the proteins and like you said, the vitamins and the minerals and those raw materials and
Mm-hmm.
oxygen to the brain and the other tissues that the body needs in order to flourish,
Flourish.
in
Yeah.
order to be healthy.
Right. To function effectively. I have a book that's called Don't Let Your Brain Go Numb. And I actually talk about that in the book, why we should um, in enhance by doing what we need to do, the chemicals, thank you for the word, the neurotransmitters, those things that cause us to feel good and feel good about ourselves. And then in turn, we will want to do good. And when we do good, that makes an impact on the world that we live in. We get to leave our imprint here because we did something. And that's why we're here. We're here to do something. We're not here to just sit every day. And we're not here to just, some people, yeah, to have jobs that they love and they're impacting communities and the world and things like that. But for the most part, it's not that way.
Okay, so again, so let's talk about some specific things that we can
Yes.
do to
Yes.
change our inner dialogue.
So ask yourself questions. Don't be afraid to ask yourself, how am I speaking to myself? Is this loving? Am I criticizing myself? Am I being judgmental on myself?
Mm-hmm.
Am I disempowering myself? Or am I
I can't do or I don't deserve, right?
right? Right.
And I think to your point, you're saying ask the questions from a place of openness and
Mhm.
receptivity
And
and
right.
compassion,
Yes, for
and
yourself.
kindness and love.
For yourself. I mean, we do it for many people. We do it for strangers,
Okay.
but we neglect to do it for ourselves. We have to learn to build ourselves up. Are you using positive affirmations? Or is what you just said, is it negative? And the way you'll know, you ask yourself questions. It's not rocket science. Just ask yourself, what does this feel like when I speak to myself?
Mm-hmm.
Do I feel happy now? What are my emotions when I begin to say something to myself? Did I just piss myself off? Did I make myself feel worse? Am I kicking myself while I'm down?
Mm-hmm.
When we are the only ones sometimes that we have that is going to lift us up off the ground.
Yes. I think to
And
your point also, you said tune into how you're feeling based
mm-hmm,
on what you're saying to yourself, because
mm-hmm,
whenever you say something, your body reacts. Your body can't tell the difference between what you imagine to be true versus what is true. Meaning, if you imagine a tiger is going to attack you, your muscles are going to tense up, your breathing is going to become shallower. You're going to have certain physiological changes in your
mm-hmm.
body. So what are some other specific things that a person can do to change that inner dialogue?
Start listening to things that are going to encourage you. That's another thing. Get up and move, but listen to things that are going to feed you to make you feel better. I used to listen to motivational speakers all the time. And,
Right. So
and
so what you're saying is, again, if you want apple seeds, plant apples,
mm-hmm,
don't plant weeds.
right.
Right. So that's gonna do the things, speak into yourself that which is going to be helpful to you. And I'll also say to take that to another level, you need to really question what we actually believe.
Mm-hmm.
Am I and own the fact that I'm choosing to believe it. What I said is this: just because somebody offers you cocaine, don't mean you got to say yes. You can say no, thank you. And the same thing is true when it comes to your negative thinking. You got to take ownership of the fact that I'm choosing to believe this. Even if somebody said you're never going to be nothing, we chose to believe that. And at this
Mm-hmm.
point, you can choose not to believe that, and you can choose to believe something else. So we really need to look at, what am I choosing to believe? What am I choosing not? And is there one other thing, and then because we down to
Top.
like probably the last 30 seconds, and we still got
Yes.
to find out where folks can contact you.
Right. I just want to say one last thing. I'm glad you said that because people think about their feelings and say, "Oh, I hate feeling like this." Be happy you're feeling. Secondly, because of that, like I'm mad or I'm sad, I don't want to feel. You want to feel. You do not want to be numb. It's okay. What you can say to yourself then is, it's okay that I have feelings and my feelings are valid. Now you got to figure out what you're going to do with them
Absolutely.
positively.
Absolutely. You
Mm-hmm.
want to say, but you really want to do some deep exploration
Mm-hmm.
about what you're thinking and how you feeling, if you want to have a happy, fulfilled, successful life in whatever way you define that. And so but what you believe about you and your possibilities has to change if it ain't working for you. So that being said, how can folks get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Just one last thing on that. Think about what you're thinking about.
Absolutely.
People can connect with me on social media, Instagram. I'm Stacey Bulluck. It's Bulluck. Or you can reach me at Stacy at powerinresilience.com. Stacy at powerinresilience.com.
And then where can find your book?
They can find my book on Amazon.
Oh,
Amazon.com. And you can go there and just put my name in, and the books that I've written will pop up.
all right. Well, thank you so much for having this conversation with me today, Dr. Stacey Bullock. It's been a pleasure talking about
Thank,
one of my favorite things to talk about.
thank you for having me.
I am your host, Dr. Balin A. Durr. awakening and empowering you to live out your infinite potential, to live life in the sweet spot. I'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us today in the sweet spot. Share, follow, and like us on social media. To learn more, please visit balinadermd.com, spelled BALINADURRMD.com. Join us next week, and remember, when you heal your mind, all things are possible.